As 2024 comes to a close, I find myself looking back on the roller coaster ride that was my son Dean's PSLE year. It's been a mix of frustration, determination, warmth, and surprises, a drama I'd call Dean's PSLE. The star of this show, of course, is my mischievous, clever, and occasionally exasperating boy. From his early days of rebellion to his eventual realization of the importance of hard work, he has gone through a transformation I could only describe as remarkable. His journey to achieving an unexpectedly good result has been nothing short of a personal triumph. At the start of PSLE prep, my son was the king of tricks, using every bit of his creativity to dodge studying. He'd sit at his desk, stabbing holes into his eraser with a pen. He'd close his door in broad daylight, switch on the light, and play shadow puppets on the wall. His books were never where they needed to be when it was time to study. And he'd suddenly burst out with deep philosophical questions like,
"Why do I even need to study? Is it just so you can brag to your friends if I do well?"
These antics made me laugh and cry in equal measure. At first, I patiently tried to reason with him, encouraging him to take revision seriously. But after repeating myself 100 times, I'd snap. "It's your exam. If you don't want to study, fine. But remember, it's not me sitting in the exam hall staring at questions I don't know how to answer." Seeing his antics daily, I couldn't help but frown every time I looked at him, and he, in turn, would predict my moods.
"Mom, calm down,"
he'd say with an infuriatingly calm tone.
"Don't let me get to you."
What could I do? I knew his resistance to studying wasn't just laziness, it was because he hadn't yet grasped the purpose behind it all. Everything changed in mid-June. It began when my aging father fell critically ill and was hospitalized. I had to juggle household responsibilities, writing my MBA dissertation, and preparing to return to my hometown to be by his side. Those days were a whirlwind. I stayed up late writing, chased after my professor for feedback, and buried myself in data analysis. My son, used to me hovering over him, was left to his own devices during his school break. At first, he seemed bewildered by my sudden absence, but then something shifted. Perhaps realizing that he couldn't rely on me to nag him anymore, he began to take ownership of his work. The change was almost magical. His previously sloppy error books suddenly became neat and thorough. He stopped hiding from me and stuck close, as if he wanted to soak up my presence before I left. One night, he nervously asked,
"Mom, if you see me zoning out, could you, give me a little smack, just as a reminder, but, not too hard, okay?"
Hearing this, I could have danced with joy. It felt like I had finally made it through the clouds and was seeing the moonlight. And then, good news arrived. My father's health improved, and I didn't have to leave. At the same time, my son fully embraced his study for myself mode. As the mock exams approached, my son entered a new rhythm, and we became a true team. He'd finish a tough question, then proudly give himself a thumbs up. "Mum, that was so hard, but I nailed it." His confidence fueled mine. The most laughable yet endearing moment was when my son carved a little figure into the wall and declared it his focus buddy. One day, I pushed open his door and found him standing there, facing the wall, passionately reciting his science notes to the tiny figure he'd named Jerry. His lips were moving non-stop, his eyes locked on the wall, and his expression was so intense it was almost as if he'd fallen into some kind of trance. I couldn't decide whether to laugh or be impressed. Not everything went smoothly. His mock exam results were underwhelming, shaking his confidence. "Am I even capable of doing this?" he asked, disheartened. I reminded him. You're a smart, capable boy. These results are just a checkpoint. You still have 2 months to prepare. Besides, schools often make mock exams harder to push you to study better. That evening, he brought me the colorful study plan I'd created for him and said with determination,
Mom, I want to give it my all. Will you help me stay on track?
I could barely contain my excitement, but I calmly replied, "Of course, Mom's ready whenever you are." From that moment, we were truly in it together. During those final weeks, we worked as a team. I wasn't just there to watch him study, I was his partner, brainstorming strategies, breaking down tough problems, and cheering him on. Every late-night study session and every early morning reading practice became a cherished memory of connection and growth. Results day arrived, and we both held our breath. When we saw AL7 on the score sheet, I couldn't help but hug him tightly. "I'm so proud of you," he beamed and said with a cheeky grin.
See, Mom, I told you to trust me.
Although he didn't achieve an AL1 in math or get chance for higher Chinese test to meet Huachong's tough requirements, this score was a testament to his hard work and growth. In that moment, I forgot all about his mischievousness. I just wanted to be wrapped in his big bear hug. My hopes for him as my son steps into secondary school. I know this is just the beginning. Learning isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And raising a child is an even longer journey. This year, he's shown me that with time, trust, and encouragement, he can rise to the challenge. No matter what school he ends up in, I hope he continues to approach life with effort and enthusiasm. I want him to learn persistence, teamwork, and resilience, to face challenges head-on, embrace mistakes, and take steady steps toward his goals. I believe in him. I know he'll keep growing into the best version of himself. Here's to my incredible son and the bright future ahead of him.